What an excellent day for an exorcism.
One kid scream.
What's in the bar?
Yes, my dear, sweet little human. You are listening to the dark side of the G.I. and Immortus X.
On the road to hell there was a railroad track.
Oh, come on!
And a train coming up from way down below.
That was not 6 months.
Better go and get your suitcase packed. Guess it's time to go. Follow that dollar for a long way down, far away from the poorhouse door. You either get to hell or to Hadestown. Ain't no difference anymore. Way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground. Hound dog howl and a whistle blow. Train come a rolling, clickety clang. Nobody knows where that old train goes. Those who go, they don't come back. They're going way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground.
That high lonesome sound of my husband coming for to bring me home to Hadestown, way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground. Down there it's a bunch of stiffs, brother, I'll be bored to death. Gonna have to import some stuff just to entertain myself. Give me morphine in a tin, give me a crate of the fruit of the vine. Takes a lot of medicine to make it through the winter time. Way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground. Everybody dresses in clothes so fine. Everybody's pockets are weighted down. Everybody's sipping ambrosia wine. In a gold mine in Hadestown, way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground.
Everybody hungry, everybody tired, everybody slaved by the sweat of his brow. The wage is nothing and the work is hard. It's a graveyard in Hadestown,
way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground. Every little penny in the wishing well, every little nickel on the drum, all them shiny little heads and tails. Where do you think they come from? They come from way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground.
Mr. Hades is a mean old boss
With a silver whistle and a golden scale.
An eye for an eye,
And he weighs the cost.
a lie for a
Ain't your soul
lie.
for sale. So
to the king on the chromium throne,
Throne.
to the bottom of a sing-sing
the
sail.
wheel squeals and the big wheel groans.
But you better forget about your wishing well. Way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground.
Now on the road to hell there was a railroad car. And the car door opened and a man stepped out. Everybody looked and everybody saw it was the same man they'd been singing about.
You're early.
I missed you.
Mr. Hades is a mighty king. Must be making some mighty big deals. Seems like he owns everything. Kinda makes you wonder how it feels.
All aboard. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, ho!
welcome you and me. It is a home away from home. It's Canada, and Canada, and Canada. Folks treat you like a queen, and Canada, they never will be mean, and Canada, they treat you like a king. You feel welcome, it makes you wanna sing. Newfoundland, Nova Scotia is always green. The scenery is like a dream. And PEI waters are blue and clear. In Canada, it's really near. And Canada, folks treat you like a queen. And Canada, they never will be mean. And Canada, they treat you like a king. You feel welcome, it makes you wanna sing. New Brunswick and BC coastal shores, Manitoba and Ontario lakes are wide. The rivers do flow from side to side. In Saskatchewan and Canada, folks treat you like a queen. And Canada, they never will be mean. And Canada, they treat you like a king. You feel welcome, it makes you wanna sing. You'll see West Edmonton Mall, where fun parks and stores stand tall. You'll see the ice rink glow, to the water park kids can go. In Canada, la la da 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 da. In Canada, la dee 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 dee. In Canada, oh 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 oh. Canada, 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 Canada.
Days grow shorter and the nights are getting long. Feels like we're running out of time. Every day it seems much harder telling right from wrong. You got to read between the lines. Don't get discouraged. Don't be afraid. We can make it through another day. Make it worth the price we pay. The good book says it's better to give than to receive. I do my best to do my part. Nothing in my pockets, I got nothing up my sleeve. I keep my magic in my heart. Keep up your spirit, keep up your faith, baby. I am counting on you. You know what you've got to do. been waiting for your chance. Where you fit into the plan. You're the master of your own destiny. So give and take the best that you can.
Fighting the good fight. Ah, yes, and a good fight you have chosen, intrepid traveler of the night. You've stumbled upon the fearsome dark side of the tune with Immortus X. Each week, bringing you tidbits of the strange and decadent. Before Triumph, we went to Canada with the mind-bending warblings of B.J. Snowden. And then we took a demon train way down HADESTOWN, way down under the ground. A comfortable place, or so they say. Now, let's go to war with Slayer, only here on the dark side of the tune.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hey, little songbird, give me a song. I'm a busy man and I can't stay long. I got clients to call, I got orders to fill, I got walls to build, I got riots to quell, and they're giving me hell back in Hades. Hey, little songbird, cat got your tongue. Always a pity for one so pretty and young. When poverty comes to clip your wings and knock the wind right out of your lungs, hey, nobody sings on empty.
Strange is the call of this strange man. I wanna fly down and feed at his hand. I want a nice soft place to land. I wanna lie down forever.
Hey, little songbird, you got something fine. You shine like a diamond down in the mine, and the choice is yours if you're willing to choose. Seeing as you've got nothing to lose, and I could use a canary.
Suddenly, nothing is as it was. Where are you now, Orpheus? Wasn't it gonna be the two of us? Where were we, birds of a feather?
Hey, little songbird, let me guess, he's some kind of poet, and he's penniless. Give him your hand, he'll give you his hand to mouth. He'll write you a poem when the hour is out. Hey, why not fly south for the winter? Hey, little songbird, look all around you. See how the vipers and vultures surround you, and they'll take you down, they'll pick you clean. If you stick around such a desperate scene, see people get mean when the chips are down.
This gentleman, sir, has made the illness under which your majesty labors his special studies.
A mad doctor, is it? I'm not mad, just nervous.
I shall endeavor to alleviate some of the inconveniences from which your majesty suffers.
Did you look at me, sir?
I do, sir.
I have you in my eye.
No, I have you in mine.
We see the light of those who find the world has passed them by. Too late to save a dream that's growing cold. We realize that fate must hide its face from those who try to see the distant signs of unforetold.
side of the tune. I'm your host, Immortus X, bringing you the strangest stuff this side of the Kuiper Belt. From Satan to show tunes, from metal to swing, I've got the medicine for your musical disease. Queensryche there with their seminal Take Hold of the Flame. Before that, more from HADESTOWN, Patrick Page with the vocal delivery of Hey Little Songbird, delicious. And we led the block off with Bill McClintock, Just South of War. Next, we've got a dark side delicacy as we travel all the way to Russia. We're gonna stay at the Grand Astoria, where if you're very well behaved, I will relay to you a twisted story from the mind of the great Edgar Allan Poe. true. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all, the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth, and I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? So hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived it haunted me day and night. Now object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously, oh so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. Now this I did for 7 long nights, every night, just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone and inquiring how he had passed the night. So, you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night just at 12, I looked upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. Now, a watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts he could. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me. For he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers. And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on, Steadily, steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped on the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. And in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief, oh no. It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, and deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and I pitied him, although I did chuckle at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He'd been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He'd been saying to himself, "It's nothing but the wind in the chimney. Oh, it's only a mouse crossing the floor, or it's merely a cricket." Merely a cricket which has made a single chirp. Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with all these suppositions, but he had found all in vain because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim, and it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. So when I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. Oh, so I opened it, you cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot from out the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person. I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot. And now have I not told you what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the senses? Now I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet, I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder. In every instant, the old man's terror must have been extreme. Oh, it grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I've told you that I am nervous, so I am. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought that the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leapt into the room. He shrieked once. Once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. Oh, but for many minutes the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes, and there was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. Now the night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. Now, first of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head, and the arms, and the legs. And then I took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatsoever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. When I made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. The bell sounded the hour. There came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was from my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. So I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest for their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things, but ere long I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness until, at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice, yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound. Much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers, they heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observation of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? Oh, I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not, Almighty God? No! Oh, they heard. They suspected. Oh, they knew. Oh, they were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought. Oh, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. Oh, I could bear these hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die, and now again, hark! Louder, 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 louder! Oh, you villains, I shrieked. Dissemble no more! I admit the deed. Tear up the planks! Here, here! It is the beating of his hideous heart!
Bonjour. La plume de Matan. In here with us.
Why is it getting so dark? You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. You're moving into a land of shadow and substance, of things and ideas. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. There's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the dark side of the dune.
You're gonna die up there.
Sit back, put your feet up, and enjoy the ride.
I'm on a highway to hell. 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 And I'm going down. Oh.
You have ptomaine poison on your tongue. Say ah.
The tools of the trade. To the casual observer, primitive, yes, even crude, but to us, the necessary instruments. No more, no less. Chum. It's a simple recipe, really. Chicken blood and fish guts, but to a shark, irresistible.
Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into our side, Chief. He was coming back from the island of Tinian to Leyte. Just delivered the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water. Vessel went down in 12 minutes. Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. Tiger, 13-footer. You know that when you're in the water, Chief? You tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. What we didn't know was our bomb mission had been so secret, no distress signal had been sent. They didn't even list us overdue for a week. Very first light, Chief. The sharks come cruising. So we formed ourselves into tight groups. It's kind of like old squares in a battle, like you see in a calendar, like the Battle of Waterloo. And the idea was, shark comes to the nearest man, that man he starts pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes the shark would go away. Sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he said? Lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and in spite of all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces.
don't act the way it should. Keeps calling me its master, but I feel like its slave, hauling me faster and faster to an early, early grave. And it howls like hell. I'm told it's my duty to fight against the law. That wizardry is my trade, and I was born to wade through gore. I just wanna be a lover, not a red-eyed screaming ghoul. I wish it picked another to be its killing tool. Forged a billion years ago. Killing so its power. To the end of time, and I'm the cosmic champion, and I hold a mystic sign, and the whole world's dying, and the burden's mine, and the black soul keeps on killing till the end of time. Kill our friends.
sharks. They're no good. They'll eat you for fishy food. We hate sharks and their gills. Any sharks we find, we kill. Thank you.
He's crawling up my wall, black and hairy, very small. Now he's up above my head, hanging by a little thread. Oh, it's the spider. Oh, it's the spider. Now he's dropped onto the floor, heading for the bedroom door. Maybe he's as scared as me. Where's he gone now? I can't see. Oh, it's the spider. Oh, it's the spider. Trapped in a ball, doesn't seem to move at all. Perhaps he's dead, I'll just make sure. Pick this book up off the floor. God is the spider. God is the spider. Sticky end. Don't think he will ever mend. Nevermore will he crawl round. He's embedded in the ground. God is the spider. God is the spider.
Dark side of the tune. You scared yet? Well, you will be. The itsy bitsy spider indeed. Boris the spider. Coming to us from the Who. All the way back to meaty, beady, big, and bouncy. Had classic Blue Oyster Cult in there, The Black Blade. Preceded by Ghost. Absolution. I'm your host, Immortus X, bringing you this strange smorgasbord of bizarre tunage each week on this station. Ah, the creepy children and the brain surgeons, Medusa. Coming up, we have Uli John Roth and the Sails of Charon. It's the Scorpions on the dark side of the tune.
that way will never be known. Some say a jealous lover. Others, that it was the code of the free. Believe it or not, there she is.
She'll make you move in an awful fright. Something about her evil ways will make you curse, make you crave. Mata High got sneaky moves, make me wanna sing the blues. Steady grooving with a cooler pill. Eyes of eyes, hard as steel.
There were only a few doctors left. Human doctors. Me, my friend Stuart Bergman, and the very last of the great neurologists.
Immortus X.
Long lost words whisper slowly to me. Still can't find what keeps me
To die is a fate that must come to us all. But how horrible to be buried alive. Imagine the hell of lying trapped in your own coffin, your heart beating wildly, every gasping breath using up the valuable oxygen. This death by suffocation has befallen many a demented creature after attempts to claw himself out of his entombment.
Sheet from your head down to your feet. They put you in a big black box and cover you up with dirt and rocks, and all goes well for about a week, and then your coffin begins to leak, and the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play pinochle on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose, they eat the jelly between your toes. A big green worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your eyes. Your stomach turns a slimy green, and pus pours out like whipping cream. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you're dead. And the worms crawl out, the worms crawl in, the worms that crawl in are lean and thin, the ones that crawl out are fat and stout. Your eyes fall in and your hair falls out, your brain comes tumbling down your snout. And the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, they crawl all over your dirty snout. Your chest caves in and your eyes pop out, and your brain turns to sauerkraut. They invite their friends and their friends too. They all come down to chew on you, and this is what it is to die. I hope you had a nice goodbye. Did you ever think as a hearse goes by that you may be the next to die, and your eyes fall out and your teeth decay, and that is the end of a perfect day. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna
place where everyone goes to see the way a washerwoman washes her clothes. If you you like boogie woogie rhythm, she's got a beat. Let the boogie woogie wash a woman give you a treat. On every afternoon at 1 the sessions begin, and all the boys from all the bands come down and sit in. They sit around and knock each other out when they play, while the boogie woogie wash a woman washes all day. Rub-a-dub, that's just the way she rubs. Rub-a-dub, that's just the way she scrubs. Rub-a-dub, she wears out all her tubs. She rubs and rubs her knuckles right on down to the nubs. Rub-a-dub, that's how she kicks it off. Rub-a-dub, she keeps it nice and soft. Rub-a-dub, till someone hollers off. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. You really ought to visit there if you've never been. It doesn't cost a penny, just come down and walk in. If you like boogie woogie rhythm, you'll get a treat. Let the boogie woogie wash a woman give you the beat. Rub-a-dub, that's just the way she rubs. Rub-a-dub, that's just the way she scrubs. Rub-a-dub, she wears out all her tubs. She rubs and rubs her knuckles right on down to the nubs. Rub-a-dub, that's how she kicks it off. Rub-a-dub, she keeps it nice and soft. Rub-a-dub, till someone hollers off. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Place where everyone goes to see the way a washerwoman washes her clothes. If you like boogie woogie rhythm, she's got a beat. Let the boogie woogie washerwoman give you a treat. On every afternoon at 1 the sessions begin, and all the boys from all the bands come down and sit in. They sit around and knock each other out when they play, while the boogie woogie washerwoman washes all day. Rub-a-dub, that's just the way she rubs. Rub-a-dub, that's just the way she scrubs. Rub-a-dub, she wears out all her tubs. She rubs and rubs her knuckles right on down to the nubs. Rub-a-dub, that's how she kicks it off. Rub-a-dub, she keeps it nice and soft. Rub-a-dub, till someone hollers off. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat.
Well, that's the end of that one, Satan. Sleep good till next time, little children.
You spent the entire evening letting me hold your soul in my hand, and now I give it back until next week. The dark side of the tube.
Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to live my life as it should be. He taught me how to turn my cheek when people laugh at me. I've had friends before, and I can tell you that he's one who will never leave you flat.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to pray and how to save my soul. He taught me how to praise my God and still play rock and roll. The music may sound different, but the message is the same. It's just an instrument to praise his name.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Once I tried to run and hide, but Jesus came and found me and he touched me down inside. He is like a Mountie, he always gets his man, and he'll zap you any way he can. Zap.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He loves me when I'm right. He loves me when I'm wrong. He loves me when I waste my time by writing silly songs. He loves me when I'm quiet and I have nothing to say. He'll love me when I'm perfect if I ever get that way.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
That's terrific, Sal. Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful.
Life is so strange when you don't know. How can you tell where you're going to? You can't be sure of any situation. Something could change and then you won't know. Where do we go from here? It seems so unnear, just as far beyond as I can see. I still don't know what this all means to me. I have nowhere to go. I don't know what to do. And I don't even know the time of day. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown. And then you won't know. Destination unknown. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. When will my time come? Has it all been said and done? I know I'll leave when it's my time to go. Till then I'll carry on with what I know. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. Life is so strange. 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 Life is so strange.
Let's put this show out of its misery.